So let's define cosmic tape music once more.
I would say that cosmic tape music is music that was actually created electro-acoustically using pre-recorded sound. Like almost 100% music concrète was like the original stuff. Because
so we're splicing, we're dicing.
It predates the synthesizer.
Predates the synthesizer, but we do touch on a lot of synthesizer stuff in this group.
Because I think it evolved. So my other point is that it evolved into, electronic music as we know it today. So I see.
So we're talking about the bridge between fully electroacoustic music, concrète tape music, through to the use of synthesizers, which a lot of people, like Delia Derbyshire said, like once synthesizers came on the scene, she was out. She wasn't interested anymore. Exactly. But I think that the early use of synthesis in electronic music and in music production before pre-MIDI?
I would say synthesizers as a sound source for tape music.
That is a very specific qualifier, I think. That makes a lot of sense.
Because for instance, in synthesis, the sequencer was invented so that it could replace the process of splicing tape. So I would say pre-sequencer becoming how people made electronic music is sort of the era. That would define like cosmic tape music.
And we say it's cosmic because this is all aligning with the era that we call the space age. It's also called the atomic age for two reasons, right? So we're in the space race. We're trying to get to the moon. We're trying to live on Mars. We're trying to imagine, life like the Jetsons. Like, what would it be like if we did go to space and we lived out there in the great beyond? And also because they were developing the atomic bomb. That is exactly why we call it cosmic tape music, because the technology that was, there was the boom, right? So the boom from, obviously most booms happen because of wartime efforts. So because there was money being justified to be used for military purposes and innovations, that a lot of the innovators that we talk about were, had to be involved in some way, either in the Navy or the Army, things like that, where they were learning about these technologies and the components that were used, like we said, for wartime efforts, but then they found uses for them for music and art. Like
I think there was a lot of energy being put into, if we were to put a man on the moon, and there were a few different countries.
Which can still be kind of considered under the umbrella of like military efforts in a way.
Yeah. How would we communicate? How would we communicate with them? So there was a heavy focus in, I would say, like acousticians and people that had, PhDs in, radio communications. These people were, focusing their energy on, how do we communicate with people that we might, be able to put on a rocket ship. And so I feel like, a lot of the technology for synthesizers was probably being used for testing purposes, while these inventions were being created, I guess.
Yeah, so that is what cosmic tape music is, and that is what we are excited about, and what we are learning about, and what we hope this group can, communicate and share and learn more about together. So that's why we do these conversations, because there's so much being talked about and so much to learn about and converse about, that we like to take, just a little time every week and talk about what we've been excited about in the group, what we want to learn more about, what we want to talk to you guys about directly, rather than just, there's a feed, there's a thread, there's another post, there's so much going on, there's so much to look at, and we get distracted by 50 million things. So we just take this like focused time and chat, face to face, face to computer.